My interest in all things paranormal has led me to meet some pretty amazing humans. And in this episode, I'll introduce you to one of them. Welcome to the Peep Podcast. I'm your host, Nicolle, and I'm grateful you're here. The two big ideas behind the Peep Podcast are to show that the paranormal is more normal than most people think, and to connect the science to the psi, including ESP, psychokinesis, and intuition. In this episode, you'll meet April Rose, a wonderful soul whom I was lucky enough to briefly meet last year at Monster Fest 2. We connected on social media after the event, and her posts are always positive and often full of wisdom. I could tell she's a kindred spirit, so I asked her on the show to just talk about her paranormal experiences and the journey she's on, including her practices of meditation and self-reflection. Let's dive in with April. Hi, April. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so well, and I am so thankful that you are here joining me on the Pete podcast. I have been wanting to talk to you for a while because you post some really cool stuff on your social media, Facebook in particular. You're always talking about, not always, but often talking about meditation, and you have these little bits of wisdom that you share, and I just feel like you have a lot of wisdom that you can share with my listeners, but you also have paranormal stories. And of course, as the podcast being about people experiencing everyday paranormal, super interested in those too. So I think if it's okay with you and you just want to launch into your stories, I'm all ears.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Um, so if we're going into paranormal, there have been a couple of things that happened that I could only consider ghost sightings. Um, because I don't know what else to classify them as. Not that I understand the way that the entire universe works or anything, but that's what I would call them. So the first one, uh, I was about 15, and my dad was downstairs washing his truck outside, and he had the front door open. And I remember watching TV, and I saw my dad walk by and go around the in the hall and around the corner into his bedroom and close the door. And then a few minutes later, my dad came in the front door again without having passed by. And when I asked my dad how he got past without me seeing him again, he said, "I haven't been up here." Um, so then he went and checked his room, and nothing was, no one was in there. So something walked by, and I wasn't looking directly at it. So it was just kind of like barely registering that my dad had walked by, but it wasn't my dad. So whoever that was.
That's
Um, yeah.
did it sound like your dad? You know, like everybody has a way of walking. I don't
That I don't think I registered.
okay.
It was just, I think our floor was carpeted, I believe, and
Oh yeah.
I don't remember any particular sounds, and it was broad daylight, and I don't know. It was just sort of weird. The other one I find more interesting. The second time that I saw something I couldn't explain, was I was about 21, living with my ex-boyfriend and our two roommates, another couple. And it was a weekend morning, and I woke up in a weird way. Like I woke up and I just sat up in bed, like automatically without without kind of opening my eyes, giving a stretch like I normally would. I just like sat straight up, like as if out of a dream suddenly. And that's never happened to me before or since. And when I looked at the end of the bed, it was morning, and there was a little boy standing at the end of my bed, and he was watching me, and he just looked like a normal person. And there were no other kids or anything in this house. It was just our two roommates in their bedroom sleeping and us in our bedroom sleeping. And the little boy was looking at me, and he had brown hair and a striped shirt on, kind of like 80s, 70s, or 80s style t-shirt. And then I kind of laid back down and chuckled, which kind of woke my then boyfriend up a little bit. And he said, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, nothing. I thought I just saw a little boy at the end of our bed." And I went back to sleep. And then a few days later, I forgot about that whole situation. We didn't even talk about it when we fully woke up. A few days later, we wake up to my female roommate crying, like loudly crying. She was very upset. And we go out and into the hall and say, "Hey, what's going on? What's wrong?" And she said that she woke up in her room, and there was a little boy in her room, and he was looking at her. And she said, "I got scared and pulled the covers over my head and pulled them down, and then he got closer." And she freaked out and just started bawling. And I said, "Oh," and I got a chill over my body. And I said, "What did he look like?" And she described him wearing a striped shirt and had brown hair. And he was about 7 or 8, I'd say, as far as my memory serves. But then I knew, oh, that wasn't a dream. I thought I kind of had a dream where I thought my eyes were open, but they weren't
Yeah.
until that
Yeah.
happened. And then I was like, whoa. So confirmed. We both
Yeah.
saw the same thing.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So did he look pretty solid?
hmm Yeah,
Oh,
just like as if a little boy had walked into our house.
oh
And for
my
some
gosh.
reason, I didn't feel scared or shocked or freaked out, which is also weird. I just kind of
Yeah.
was like, huh, okay. Like, that's not real.
I
And
that I mean, we all react differently, but yeah, if that's not exactly how you would have expected to react,
yeah.
um, yeah, I think her reaction was like the opposite extreme to start crying and be that freaked
Right.
out. Um,
Yeah.
so how much longer did you stay in that house after that?
Um, Probably less than a year, and it wasn't because we were afraid or anything, to actually calm things down, because she had more sort of fear about hauntings and things like that, and she had more experiences in her life that were really intense
Hmm.
before we ever lived together and all that. So I said, "Well, let's just name him Bobby, and he's our little house ghost friend. It's fine." So we would call him Bobby. "Hi, Bobby." And, like, never saw him again, but just to try and make it kind of fun and not so scary
Yeah.
for her.
Did
So,
you never saw him again, but did you have any other experiences that might have felt like Bobby was around?
no, I don't believe so. I don't recall anything else strange happening in that house. Uh, yeah, nothing that I can think of.
Yeah.
And it was just some kind of modern apartment. Someone suggested many years later, if you could have looked up that apartment and that unit and see if there was a family with a little boy around, that age and the time period you think he came from. Did someone die in the house? Stuff like that. But that was quite some time ago now. I don't even know that I can remember the name of the apartment units.
Yeah, I understand that. I can't even remember half of the streets I've lived on over the years at this point.
Yeah.
No, that's still really interesting. So you got your corroboration from your roommate, and there are so many reasons that something like that could happen, and everybody jumps to ghosts, but it could have also been like some weird time slip where,
hmm
he might have just kind of faded in from some other time period or a
Another
dimension. I like
dimension.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many possible ways and people are so much more open to all the different potential reasons for experiences like that. So I just love hearing the stories because it makes me feel better about the experiences I've had in my life.
I'm gonna want to
Um
hear those.
yeah, when we get together and talk.
Okay, that's perfect.
Um okay, so have you had any other experiences?
Uh, had this really strange situation happen once that I do not know how to explain. Uh, I I moved into a new house, and all our things were not completely put together in their right place and everything yet. So our mattress was on the floor, um, and I had a stainless steel water canteen that I would wash out every night or every morning and then use throughout the day and then refill it at night and put it next to my bed. And one morning when I woke up to get ready for work, I took my water canteen downstairs to go wash it, and I noticed that the canteen felt warm instead of cold. And I always put cold water in it, so like straight out of the fridge kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it was warm, but I dumped what was in it and it was brown. And I was like, why is my water brown? So that freaked me out. It was, gross. What's that? I smell the canteen and it smells like black tea, just like real, just normal black tea. So I'm going, how I put water in it last night, and there's just a bit of tea in here, like maybe, a few ounces of tea. And I look in the trash can and there's no tea bags. I look up in the cupboard, no that kind of tea. No clue. No idea how it happened. Asked my son if he had pranked us. No. Like I have no idea. It's the weirdest thing. And I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Unless it's just like, people or something likes to play tricks.
I
Uh,
mean, there are tricksters out there, like
yeah,
the old stories
trickster
of
entity.
Coyote and the all the different cultures have some sort of trickster element to them. Um yeah, that's a strange one. Or I mean, if you really like tea, you could call it a miracle. You turned water into tea without the tea bag or something
I
like
thought of
that.
that. I was like, Jesus turned water into wine, they say.
Yeah.
That's funny. I did think of that, but I was like, I don't get it still. Like, I can't find a spiritual meaning. It's just odd.
Yeah. Just kind of random.
Yeah,
I would
very
sh-
random.
I would totally chalk that up to a trickster.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, so that's the ones that really stand out. I've yeah. I'd say that's all at the moment. If I think of anything, I'll mention it
Yeah.
if there's an opportune time.
Oh, you can always interrupt me and tell me about it. Um, okay, so let's talk about meditation. When did you first start doing meditation?
I was thinking about that today, knowing we were gonna talk about it a bit, and I remember my friend Dennis telling me about meditation for the first time when I was probably 15 again. I have always been kind of an anxious person, and when remember we were on the phone and he was just kind of talking me through some life stuff and giving me advice, and then he told me how to do a meditation. I was already laying on the couch. He said, just kind of relax your body one section at a time. So start with like your feet, move up to your ankles and your calves and your knees and so on. So I did that whole thing and I was like, wow, that felt amazing. Like to just relax that way. And so that was my first exposure to it. And then I started getting into like the spiritual direction pretty soon after that, with books and meeting friends who were into spiritual stuff and meditation and things. So sporadic throughout my life until about there were times where I would do it for a little while, but in 2021, I think it was, I made a pact to or like a deal with myself that I would do it every single day, no matter what. And so I did it for like over 200 days. And
Wow.
it on there were days at first where I was like, is this even doing anything? And sometimes I'm in a rush, and sometimes I can do a 2 minute one. Sometimes I am in a crazy rush and I'm like, does driving meditation exist? So I searched that up, and what do you know, it does. And is this safe? And well, it keeps you focused on in the moment what you're doing right now. So yeah, it's cool, it's safe. So I just found a way to do it no matter what, every single day at the start of every day. And in addition to doing that, I was also spending maybe 30 minutes per evening, just self-reflecting and analyzing, thinking about my own patterns, journaling, making lists of gratitude, and just really trying to understand myself and why I sort of am the way I am. Not that it's bad or anything, but just sort of understand my general patterns and habits and where they came from.
Mhm.
And what am I trying to gain through those and accomplish? And are there better ways to accomplish whatever I'm trying to do? Um, so yeah, I worked on that and meditation every day. And then after about 30 days, not knowing if it was doing anything beneficial, suddenly I realized that my baseline mood was very, very even keeled, whereas usually it was kind of like jittery, nervous, like bouncing around, energy, getting, tons of stuff done, but just this nervous energy. And so I noticed I had calmed down, my mind had quieted down just regularly throughout the day. It wasn't so chattery. And I was able to handle stressors a lot better and get over things much quicker. So I was like, wow, I feel amazing. This is the best thing ever. So I continued and did that. That was about 30 days in, and I continued throughout, over 200 days. And then I made some not unwise life decision that led me to kind of veer off the path
Mm.
and get distracted by things that were stressful instead, which taught me another lesson.
Yeah,
You got to take care of you no matter what. And if something is veering you away from taking care of you, you need to analyze that. So, yeah.
absolutely. 200 days straight is pretty amazing. Like
Thank you.
for Lent this year, I told myself I was going to meditate at least 5 days a week. Like I always give myself an out because I have such a hard time sticking with something for so long.
Right.
Um, and so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it 5 days a week for at least 5 minutes a day. And I did. I stuck with it. And then as soon as Easter hit, I did it for like 2 more days and then I got out of the habit again. So like I'm in awe that you were able to do it 200 days straight. And I know there are people out there who are probably
I've done it
interviewed a
for
few of
20
them that
years.
yeah, raise their hand. I've never missed a day for 20 years. That's
Yeah.
amazing too. But that that amount of dedication is always impressive to me. I have to ask about the driving meditation. Like, how does that work?
Well, I was a little nervous about that at first because I was like, I don't want to, be unsafe and crash into somebody. I'm sorry, I was meditating. But it keeps you focused. So it's like your hands are on the steering wheel, your eyes are on the road, things like that, where it just really keeps you in the moment and alert, not sleepy. It's not too, the voice isn't too relaxing, at least one I found. So yeah, it's very focused on here and now, which is helpful, which is mindfulness, and that's good to practice in general. I've noticed that practicing mindfulness kind of slows time down a little bit because time always feels like it's going by so fast, right? The year is just, where did the year go? It's already November, blah, blah, blah. But mindfulness, like being present in this moment, you can just keep bringing yourself back again and again when your mind is wandering to tomorrow, to yesterday, and so
Hmm.
on, all the maybes and the noise. Just quiet it down, bring yourself back right here each time you notice yourself doing that, and it really helps you to appreciate and get the most out of every day, I think. That's what I
Yeah.
found.
So when you journal, do you free flow write or do you have like something that you focus on every night? Like I did a 5 year gratitude journal. So every night I wrote down something I was thankful for. Sometimes it was just, I'm thankful I'm alive, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
other times it was big things. Sometimes it's just, thankful I had an hour with my sister or something like that.
great.
But I journal just like my life is very much in spurts. Like if I feel the need to do something, I will do it until I no longer feel the need to do it. And then I stop, even though it was a good thing that I should keep doing. So that's one of my patterns. But when you were doing
It's
it,
common.
like, or when you journal, do you have anything specific that you focus on?
I think I just kind of go with whatever is on my mind at the time. So if I feel I have something to work through, a problem in anywhere in life, I can just sit there and write it all out, like write every thought and feeling, and then it helps me to kind of see the big picture and maybe figure out what's important here and what I can do to change something that needs changing or change my perspective or talk through it with another person, whatever is needed. But yeah, just kind of
Mhm.
whatever's in the forefront of my mind at that time is usually what I write about. But gratitude, 5 year gratitude journal, that's wonderful. I would love to get in the same habit of doing that again every day because even voicing it out loud at the end of your day, even if you
Mhm.
don't write it down, if you are with your partner or just by yourself, it really doesn't matter. But just thinking, okay, what went well today? That's a Dr. Amen tip. Have you heard of Dr. Daniel Amen?
No, I
He's
haven't.
a brain doctor. He's he's done all kinds of brain scans and he's written several books that I've read. I've followed his work for quite some time, like 8 years or something. Anyway, he says, even if you have the worst day in the world, think, okay, what was one thing that went right today? And so he talks about how when his father passed away, like he still found one thing that
Hmm.
went well or right. And so there's always things to be grateful for, is the point. And focusing on that kind of rewires our energy and changes our perspective because we as humans have a negativity bias naturally in our brain. We're wired
Hmm.
to look for dangers and bad and, stay away from that stuff because it's scary. So we have to intentionally rewire our brain to focus on what's good. Let me find the positive. Oh, look, an act of kindness that some person is doing for another person, or tell somebody something nice about themselves that
Hmm.
you didn't have to say it, but you might make them smile. It's just focus on the good, speak about the good, and you start to feel better inside. It rewires your thoughts, your changing your words, and you start to change your actions, your energy, and then what I feel like what we put out, we often get back. So,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
rambling a little bit.
No, you're not. No, that all made sense to me and it flowed. Yeah, and I say I stopped doing the gratitude journal, but I still like I got into that habit before I fall asleep every night. I go through this list of what I'm thankful for and
Good.
thank you for whatever good thing happened today. And I've kind of done that since a really rough patch back in 2003, but the journal made me really like get into the daily habit. Like I'd been practicing it like when things are tough, the whole I fall asleep counting my blessings kind of thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I was going through a separation and ultimately a divorce, and I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't eating, and I was, it was just a tough time. It was a it was kind of a shocking situation and I wasn't dealing with it well. But
Oh,
once I started remembering all the things that were going right in my life, and
right.
stopped focusing on the thing that was going wrong or that I thought was going wrong at the time. Turned out it was probably the best thing that could ever happen to me.
That
But
happens along
when
the
you're going
way.
through it, that's hard to know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I started counting my blessings, and then my best friend gave me the 5-year gratitude journal. And I was like, okay, I'm committed. It's right next to my bed. It's the last thing I'll look at before I go to sleep. I'll write down the one thing. And now I just literally every night before I fall asleep go through my list of everything I'm grateful for. And
Awesome.
sometimes I fall asleep in the middle of the list.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
You went
Yeah,
to sleep in gratitude.
exactly. But it does what you said. Like it does rewire your brain. And it just, it also helps with mindfulness. Like during the day, I'll have moments of, wow, this is so cool that I get to talk to this person, or,
Yeah.
this is so cool that I'm sitting in the sunshine and just, you know, relaxing for 5 minutes between meetings or something, like just
Yes.
those moments of, I am really lucky to be where I am right now, you know?
Hmm. Oh man, that makes me happy. Yeah, that kind of stuff just feels way better than you think it would if people haven't naturally been known to do that or haven't been taught to do that. Like it just doing something like that repeatedly releases good chemicals and hormones in our bodies, and it just makes us feel better overall, and we're not so complainy and
Yeah.
grouchy. And I feel yeah, I mean there's reasons to be complaining and grouchy, but the more what we focus on is what is going to persist and grow, so we have to choose.
Yeah. And you get to wake up every morning and choose.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so,
you can change right now at any
yeah.
moment.
Yeah. It's it's really it's awesome. Um yeah, so is, when we talk about things like self-reflection and looking at your own patterns, when you first started doing that, was there like a specific moment where you were thinking, "Oh wait, why does this keep happening?" Or was there any sort of epiphany moment, or did you just kind of slide into that habit?
It I just felt like I knew I had some healing to do, and I had been in relationships that were ultimately painful and didn't end peacefully because they weren't going peacefully. But I just knew that I needed to do some healing, that the only thing I could change was myself, that the only thing I had power over was myself and what I chose to do. So after each end of a relationship or another hard time in life, I would try to look at what lessons I gained from it, how I could have been better, how I should be better in the future, uh, how I handled things, and tried to understand why, well, why do I tend to react this way when someone does something like this to me?
Mhm.
You know, what's that about? Where did that for I was listening to all kinds of positive content too, so that helped, books and podcasts and other things. So I was like, okay, where did that first show up that I can remember? And uh what was the situation back then? And what am I trying to feel when I do this? Like, am I trying to feel safe? Am I trying to feel loved? Am I, what do I need? And so how do I meet my own needs
Mhm.
to give myself what I'm looking for? So yeah, it was just kind of that process, but based on trying to quiet down my anxiety with all kinds of positive and uplifting content, leading to me understanding step by step ways that I could begin to heal my past and be a better version of me, be better in the world, in my relationships. And it feels like that's kind of the goal, be gaining knowledge and experience and wisdom. And I mean, that
Mhm.
excites me. I want to be the best I can be in the world because that's what I have the most control over.
That's so true. Yeah, it's very true. I I kind of did the same thing. Lots of listening to podcasts and reading and just I I've always had friends who are into psychic stuff and meditation and just having enough people say, hmm, I kind of see a pattern here, and finally I listened
Mhm,
at some point and started thinking, okay, what is it? The same thing. Why am I doing these things? Like, what is it in my past that makes me react to situations this way?
mhm,
And why? And what can I do to change that? Like, even if it's something as simple as reminding myself that the person standing in front of me who's saying whatever it is that triggers me is not the same person who 30 years ago caused me to feel this way. So I can't be mad at the person standing in front of me. They don't know that history.
right.
And that's not
Mm,
where they're coming from. Like and just that sort of thing. So the interactions with others, I mean, I've always been sensitive because I'm an empath, but I used to be like overly sensitive about things like any criticism. Like,
mhm.
I never thought I was perfect, but if you point out that I'm not perfect, it just really hurt my feelings so much. And it was,
Oh,
this was a long time ago. But yeah, it was like, just, well, that means you hate me. And that's not at all where people are coming from, but
yeah,
that was the kind of stuff that I had to deal with, for myself. Like, I'm not going to have a good relationship with anybody if I can't take criticism when they're trying to help me, and it's, you even constructive criticism would set me off back then. And now I'm like, yeah, please criticize me because I don't know any better until you tell me better, you know? So yeah, it's really important work and I think eventually most people come to it at some point in their lives. I hope.
yeah.
I'm an optimist.
Yeah. I I hope for everyone that they do because it really makes a huge difference and life doesn't have to be crap.
Yeah.
Like for some people it literally feels like it always is, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, that self-work is amazing. And we're never done. We're never
Oh
perfect.
no.
We're never like, oh, I've arrived. I'm
No.
the best me ever. Yeah, that doesn't work that way, but just continuing on that journey actually feels good. You feel like you're always growing and learning.
Hmm. And I think that's what we're here for is to learn. So,
Yeah.
and to, yeah, eventually be just always try to be a better person than you were yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. Don't compete with other people. Compete
Exactly.
with your yesterday self.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if you're
And
having a day where you just can't compete with your yesterday self, there's always tomorrow. It's going to be okay.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a go-getter every single day,
Yeah.
but just do your best with where you're at each day, and it's better than not trying at all. So,
All right. We've had words of wisdom from April. I love it.
you too, ma'am. This is really nice. I like to be able to talk with people about stuff like this because it's just really rewarding to be doing it, and it's nice to connect with others about it
Hmm.
and kind of hear other people's journeys through healing and all that too.
Yeah.
I'm a spiritual person. These things, like, I don't believe in anything as far as paranormal. Like, I've had experiences, but I don't like religiously believe in anything personally. I am just open to a lot of things, and I do not know how the world works. I can only guess, and I like to speculate about it. It's fun to have conversations, and I like it when I have experiences. It's really cool. And I
Hmm.
like to hear about other people's experiences.
Yeah.
But
It,
yeah, I'm spiritual and uh, just a little bit with my head in the clouds, but my feet still on the ground most of the time.
I knew you were a kindred spirit. No, it is. It's fun to talk about this stuff, and it doesn't always have to be ghost stories and Bigfoot and all the stuff that I love to cover. Sometimes it's just really important to share how you've gone through your healing journey. And because there are so many people out there who, you know, maybe having like a really crappy year. And
Yeah,
I get it. I have a lot of friends who are in the midst of very crappy years. And it's not just because of, the bigger picture of everything that's going on in the world. They're just, injuries and rough times at work and stuff like that. And just, I hope that they get some pearls of wisdom from listening to conversations like this, some little thing that they can grab onto and maybe put into practice that can help them at least turn around the way that they're reacting to what's going on, or just finding that one little thing each day to be thankful for, like we were talking about. Even if you just find the one thing, um, it's you don't have to be like all happiness and sunshine every minute of the day, but
right.
if you
Yeah,
can if you can
not
end the day with a
realistic.
happy thought, it's okay.
Yeah, or even just this didn't suck.
Right.
This one thing didn't suck today. If that's the
Yeah.
best you can muster, that's okay.
Yeah.
There are so many things, like going for a walk every day is hugely beneficial to your body and your mind and your
Hmm.
spirit, your mood, your- everything. So, little habits that you can implement that you don't have to take a long time to do can make all the difference. Reframing situations. I'll have to look that one up because it's really an interesting concept. I try to reframe all the time because our perception is what makes things painful or hard or sad. It's two people can experience the same situation very differently based on
Hmm.
their perspective. So being able to figure out how to change our perspective a little at a time is extremely helpful
Yeah.
for making life easier.
Yes. Anytime you can step back and kind of look at things a little more objectively, which can be really hard in some situations, but to step back and say, okay, why? Why am I responding this way? What is in their background that's making them respond that way? Because we all have different frames of reference. And I learned that in interpersonal communication 101 back in college. Like everybody brings their own frame of reference, and that's the filter that they experience the world through.
Yes.
And so if you can step back and like you know what your frame of reference is, but step back and realize that that person has had a completely different life than you have. And
Mm-hmm.
so why are they responding, or why are they feeling what they're feeling? And you don't have to sit down and have like a full on counseling session with them, but just to be able to like calm the emotions down and look at it with some curiosity
Mm-hmm.
can help
Yeah.
diffuse arguments and that sort of thing, or even just,
Super good advice.
yeah, of like sometimes you're not even a participant, you just witness like an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, because the energy of the exchange was very, chaotic or negative, it leaves an impression on you. And so, or it may be people that you're like close to and you don't want them arguing or that sort of thing. But to be able to kind of step back and start asking those questions can help you deal with it a little bit better. But maybe it could also help you know what to say to kind of help calm the situation. But you don't have to be a superhero. Nobody, I'm not telling everybody to go jump in the middle of a fight or anything like that.
Right. But it's good to develop skills of de-escalating situations like that for sure. Because, yes, people, I think a huge part of the problem in arguments between people who know each other, and maybe even people who don't, but they assume the other person's intentions. And so you did that because like
Hmm.
they envision that this person is just doesn't care about them, and so they did this thing or any number of other things. And so assuming that bad intention from someone who loves you and normally doesn't do things that reflect what you just thought about them, you need to kind of analyze all of it and go, okay, what's the usual behavior? Could this have been an honest mistake? Could they have meant it another way? Should I hear them out? Yes, you should always hear them out.
Yes.
So, yeah, but that curiosity thing I think is really important. And I've heard kind of imagining your partner or anyone else that you're close to as a little kid, because our responses to triggers, which is outbursts sometimes,
Hmm.
come from things coping mechanisms we developed as little kids. I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
So like we're really just all little kids doing the best, that we can in our adult bodies. But yeah, emotionally, we revert back to things we did as children. So it takes some work to practice getting out of that. And
Yeah.
when we work together, like back and forth, give each other feedback and help each other and understand each other and all that, it really helps to heal more and more people, which is necessary for the whole world, honestly. We're all a little bit damaged.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like anything can touch that core of us, that spirit, light, heart, whatever you want to call it. It's yeah, I think that we can always tune into that if we kind of figure out how, I guess. There's always that inner wisdom and that little light that hopefully maybe never goes out.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking back to like what I was saying about how I did not handle criticism well. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think either of my parents listen to this podcast, so I can share a little bit. Because, and if they do, mom and dad, it's okay. But I was I am one of four children, and I was the straight A student nerd. I'm the one of the middle children. So there was always the middle child issues, like,
Oh no.
and then on top of that, the straight A student. So I was expected to always and forever get straight A's because I did. And so if I got a B, oh my gosh, why did you get a B? Like, this is horrible. The world's going to end kind of attitude. But if my brothers or my sister got a B, it was celebrating time. So I did not, I was held to a different standard.
Oh,
And, it would be, what the heck is wrong with you? Why did you get a B? And I,
you're the good one.
that is the reason. Yeah, right. That is, you're the angel. Um, but that's the reason that as I got older, I didn't handle criticism well because it was like,
Oh,
what? No, I'm supposed to be the good one. I'm supposed to be the smart one. Why, how did I mess that up? And,
yeah,
so
I
then
have to do it
I
perfectly.
beat myself up and of course, because I'm beating myself up, I don't want to be around the people who just criticize me because they made me feel bad about and that was never their intention.
Right.
Um, but that was one of the things that I had to work through for myself. Like there was nobody else could do that for me. I just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And now when I talk about it to my boyfriend, he's like, well, I'm sorry you went through that. And I'm like, I'm not sorry I went through that because that was part of my learning experience in this lifetime. And now I can be empathetic to other people who've had to go through the same thing and maybe help them if they aren't quite to the point where they've figured out how to change the way they respond.
It's so good. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I don't think we go through anything without the opportunity to gain something from it. So it's great that you have that wisdom from it, and
Yeah.
that awareness of how it's valuable.
And that all of it plays together, the optimism, the gratitude. Like if you look at every experience, and sometimes it takes years before you can go look back at some experiences with that, oh, that's the lesson I was learning, but if you look at everything as a lesson learned and what can you take from it, then it does make the hard days a little bit easier.
Yeah, there's something there. You can dig through all the muck and find a silver lining, a lesson, a blessing. I have all these quotes that float around in my head all the time, and I sometimes mix them up, but there's uh I made myself lose my train of thought actually.
I do that all
But
the
yeah,
time.
there's always something to be found. That's good.
Mhm.
Oh, n- some people say something like not getting what you want is the biggest blessing. What you thought you wanted it can
Yeah,
turn out to be the biggest blessing. So, yeah,
there
like
was
you
a
said earlier, when you were in it, it's painful. Later, you're like, oh, thank God it went
yeah,
that way.
yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have then gotten to do this, and this, or I wouldn't have become better in this way, or met these people, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, whether it's a job or anything in life.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that old country song, some some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers,
Oh,
which I mean, and I wasn't much of a country fan, but that was one that stuck with me.
yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an old metalhead, so the fact that I can quote country from the 80s is kind of funny.
I have definitely been into quite a bit of metal myself throughout my life.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to talk about that sometime too.
Yeah.
Music or share music.
Yes. Um, yeah. Well, this has been great. I don't want to keep you any later. we've been talking for about an hour now, so
Yay.
I totally appreciate your time. This has been a really fun conversation, and um, I appreciate it. I hope that my listeners also got a little something out of it, or at least, were like yelling at their speaker going, "Yes, I get that too," or something along those lines.
Yeah,
But thank you.
I hope so. Thank you. I'm honored. Like I said, I've never been on any podcast, so thank you for having me. I really appreciate you and your time too, and just having a great conversation with you.
I'm honored that I got to be your first podcast.
Aw, thank you.
Thanks again to April for sharing her experiences and wisdom, and thanks to you for listening. If you are interested in sharing your own paranormal experiences, or if you have an idea for an episode topic, please reach out through the contact form at peeppodcast.com. That's PEEP podcast.com. Remember, that stands for People Experiencing Everyday Paranormal. While you're there, subscribe to my newsletter to keep up with the podcast and all my creative and energetic endeavors. I usually only email it once a month. You'll receive briefs on recent episodes, information on any upcoming appearances, and some occasional fun extras. If you enjoy the podcast, please give it some rating love on your favorite podcast app, share it with friends, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Ratings, reviews, and shares help platforms like Apple Podcast and Spotify know it's worthy of surfacing to new listeners. And as we build our audience, we have more chances to hear their paranormal stories. A huge thank you to everyone who has given the show some love. You're helping it grow. No matter how you support the show, listening, telling others about it, or any other way, I absolutely appreciate your being here. Thanks again for listening. Stay safe and be well.
Wow.